Aloha, my name is Ke Kula Kaiapuni and I come from Lāhainā. Well, in the area of Wahikuli, there's a place called Mala Village, and I grew up there fishing, learning from my father and my grandfather folks, and so learning how to fish, how to take care of the place, but also learning about the springs that frequent the area and how it affected the growth of limu, that affected the abundance of fish. It kind of gave me a sense of the springs that was there needed to be protected in order for that area to continue to flourish. I know that in that area of Wahikuli, there's a lot of lava tubes that is running underground, and a lot of water is running through that lava tubes, and they come up in the area of Mala. So when you go down to the beach there, you see a lot of water boiling up from the sand and the reef. Again, down in Mala Village, the place was known for opelo fishing, and it was also known for opelo mama. A lot of families, including my family, would train the kaku, the barracuda, to bring those schools of opelo to the canoes. They would train these opelo mama where they could take the mama to Molokai and Lanai, following the canoes, gathering fish and putting them in the nets. And when they wake up the next morning, in front of the house, the mama will be sitting on the reef. The people in the area, what they would do, like during maybe 3 months out of the year when the fish spawning, they would only hanai. Nobody can catch fish. They only hanai. After the season was reopened, only the people who was hanai or who in hanai that the koa was allowed to fish for the first month, and then everybody else can go. For the most part, all of the fishermen would hanai the koa over there. I think the last time we had an opelo mama, I was in 8th grade. With the coming of tourism and a lot of the charter boats that came fishing targeted opelo mama because it was big. You know, an opelo mama could be 6 to 7 feet long, about as round as a 5-gallon bucket. And so they would target those fish and as trophies. And so a lot of the opelo mama that was in that area were fished out. 130 years ago, all of the streams on the west side was diverted. It was diverted through sugarcane. By diverting a lot of these streams, you remove the estuaries by the river mouth, the Muliwai, where these fish would spawn. And so by removing this fresh water, we lost the spawning grounds for a lot of these fish. And so we lost a lot of fish that used to be there. There's not there anymore, except for now that we reopened the rivers, we see these fish returning. To me, the importance for me is that I grew up in the area. This is where my family come from. This is where I learned to fish. Actually, the place that Mala lies in, right next to Ekoli, is called Moali'i. In Moali'i, we had the Alamihi fish pond. We hear a lot about the fish ponds of Mokula and that pond that was there, but Alamihi was just as big. And it was used as an inland fish pond where they raise thousands of pounds of fish. Yeah, there's a lot of things that is not there anymore, but we hope to restore since the fire. 20 years ago, we started fighting for return the waters into our rivers. It started off as a real selfish reason so that we can start raising taro back in our lands up Mauka. Because of that selfish reason, we started to realize that when we got this water back and we started raising taro, that fish that wasn't in the stream for 130 years started to return. And we didn't even have anything to do with that other than release the water. All we need to do is just kind of stay out of the way, give life one chance, and they return pretty quick.
My name is Ke Kapu, and I live in Kaula Valley on land awarded to our family from the time of the crown. Pu'u Ke Ka'a, the heiau in Pu'u Ke Ka'a. I think the whole pu'u was the heiau. Kaikili played a very important part to Pu'u Ke Ka'a. He was the birdman, and that area, the leaping point, was most historical and important to Pu'u Ke Ka'a was the launching area of the birdman. So I know there's a cave that is on the bottom of Pu'u Ke Ka'a, which the cave once upon a time went all the way to the ocean. Now it doesn't. I've personally went there to build a kuahu for a lot of the burials that they found when they were constructing Pu'u Ke Ka'a and built Sheraton Hotel. And Pu'u Ke Ka'a also was an area highly noted to be affiliated to a lot of the spirits that lingered the land that still dwell in the cave of Pu'u Ke Ka'a. Pu'u Ke Ka'a was kind of like a pu'u in the middle of nowhere along the shorelines of Wahine Pe'e. So the beach in front of Pu'u Ke Ka'a is Wahine Pe'e. The stream of Wahine Pe'e also is the divider of the Ahupua or the Moku of Ka'anapali. It was one of the pivotal points. I would say that was the Kuahu or the Ahu, the altar for a lot of the fishing families too. So Lahaina was known, from Ka'anapali to Lahaina was known as the most important fishing ground areas, and a lot of the fishing practices basically came from Lahaina. So when Lahaina started to make the drastic change back then, when industrialization became a part of the regular norm now, that a lot of our tradition, customs, even our religion kind of turned tail to more economic stimulus such as sugarcane and pineapple. During the time of the pre-contact era, we were dependent more on our resources that came from the ocean or came from the land. A lot of the taro cultivations within the whole Lahaina district could feed both of these ahupua'as in Ka'anapali, the Ka'anapali moku as well as Lahaina moku. So when I talk about industrialization, why the fishing villages all of a sudden didn't operate anymore is because of commerce. Pu'ukeka always gets hit by industrialization when it comes to tourism. A lot of people don't take the time to really understand and know the importance why Pu'ukeka is there. Tourism basically influx, to a point as to where we're losing a lot of our history.
Aloha, my name is Ke Kula, born and raised here in Lahaina, graduate alumni of Lāhaināluna, currently a state president for the Hawaii Farmers Union, as well as management of our Ku'ia project, KAEC, Ku'ia Agriculture Education Center. There's several reasons why people could say that the capital was chosen as Lahaina. Just my own mana'o would be there's a strategic location as far as geographical point from all of the islands in Hawaii. It's kind of centric, and it has other islands that shelter it from different weather patterns that our kupuna knew of. It also had a large food production system in place, and the longest ʻaui system that was ever established was also in Lahaina as far as the time of our kingdom and crown goes. Pi'ilani's ʻaui system came out of Kauaʻula and fed into a larger landscape that produced more food systems. What is known today as Lāhaināluna Ditch, what was previously known as ʻaui Avau, was an older ʻaui system that was established somewhere in the 900s. And so those ʻaui systems built a very large food system that sustained a large population. And then you can go further back and understand the lineages and what made Lahaina revered as sacred to many of our people. Kamehameha had many wives, but sought one in particular wife that was residing within Lahaina. And so when that all kind of gave him a reverence to the place and made him understand its sacredness in our perspectives of our traditional culture and religion, that was another reasoning of the foundations for the kingdom to be established in Lahaina. The first capital of Hawaii was actually in Kona. So we're not the first capital, but we were the capital that was designed after all of the islands came under one rule. Kamalu'ulu o Lele is the shade of the breadfruit trees of Lele. Lele was an old chief that was known in Lahaina somewhere around 600 AD. He began to grow out food production systems in the light of a need. We depleted our natural resources and we were consuming our own food production at a rate that we couldn't sustain our population. So Lele came in and he began to expand that. When you look at that, there was wetlands in the bottom low-lying lands of Lahaina, where it's known as today Mokuhinia and the Alamihi Pond, fish ponds that were located inland, not in the ocean. So those ponds were natural existence of wetlands at one point, and Lele began to plant food around those because water was available. When you look at how we managed our environment, it influenced the development of our politics. When we wrote our first constitution, it was designed off of some of our management practices for the environment and its existence. So we understood that as humans, we need to function in the way that the environment provides for us. And should we exceed that production level, we will find conflict and problems. I hope that we come out with a stronger and better place. It's difficult to see that as a reality at the moment, the more I learn about the process that we have to go through.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Kalapana Kohlers, and I work for the Lāhainā Restoration Foundation as their Hawaiian Cultural Specialist. Hale paʻa has an extremely significant connection to Lāhaināluna's history, but as well as Hawaii's history as a whole. Most notably, in 1834, hale paʻa is where the first Nupepa Ōlelo Hawaii was printed. Kalama Hawaii began Hawaii's foray into Nupepa Ōlelo Hawaii, and that ran for about 114 years that Hawaiian language newspapers were printed, and over 100 different publications. So Kalama Hawaii was the first. The advent of moving into the time of Palapala and Nupepa also led to the collection of knowledge. Things like genealogy, things like new laws that come into effect, things like local news and world news, all in Ōlelo Hawaii. Also some of our epic sagas, like Ke Mele Mele and the Pele and Hi'iaka saga. You know, these offer things that we're able to look at today, and also be able to see what was important enough to our kupuna to have written down, to have it added to this repository of Ike that we're able to access today. We operate it as a museum today, but post-fire, it is our only historic structure that is yet unaffected by the fire. So it'll serve as a sort of an all-purpose building. As much as we can, keep the museum open for people to come in and learn about hale paʻa and its contribution to printing and Nupepa. But also we keep things, our archival things that have made it through the fire, we keep those in the basement. So we're really fortunate that this structure made it through the fire. Being that Lāhaināluna is the oldest educational institution in our paʻaina, Lāhaināluna has educated some of our early scholars, who in turn recorded a lot of our history of our ali'i, some of our cultural practices, a lot of mele and oli. Later on, after their lifetime, compiled into some of the cornerstone publications which anyone researching into Hawaii's history will invariably come across and have to reference. So David Malo, Samuel Kamakau are probably two of the most notable ones that would come to mind right offhand. Hale paʻa serves as a tangible place, a tangible structure, a tangible idea that people can come to and see and be immersed in a space that has been instrumental in shaping our history. We should continue to teach and keep the history of hale paʻa alive, not just to remember the things and entities and people's contribution to make this place what it is today, but also to the future generations that are long removed from us, long behind us, and what will they know about what we've done, to keep this history alive. It will serve to be a very important piece of our history, because someday we will all be ancestors.
O wau no kainoa pestana, o wau ka manakia o ki wahi malama aino Pu'ukukui Watershed Preserve. O nā hono pi'ilani, o iho e keia mau hono a pau ma kia ao o mauna kahalawai. Wahi a ka poe o mauna kahalawai kaino kahiko o kia aina. Wahi a ke kai mo puke, lili o kalani ko kako mo i wahine o ka pai mauna o e eka noho i ke ia. Ana leila ka helu ana o kia mo hono, ho maka ana mo hono kahua, a leila o hono ke ana, hono lua, hono kohau, hono nana. Ka hui ana o kia mau hono a pau lilo mai nā hono a o pi'ilani. A ua kapa ia ma ka inoa o ka mo'i pi'ilani i ka wā kahiko ke la wā. No leila ua kapa ia kia mau a wā wanui I nui ai ka wai no na iho. A pela I kapa ia kia aina o nā hono a o pi'ilani. Make wau e ike nā kanaka like ole o kia aina I nā he oiwi a malihini paha. Maika I ke ike I ka ko'i o kia wahi no Maui nui. Ike kako I ka nui o nā awawa, a ka make ka nui o ka wai I loko leila. Maʻanei I mau Pu'ukukui Watershed Preserve, o ko mako pahu hopu, Ko mako kia ana ma luna o ka wai. E ka malama ana I ka wai. E ola I kako I loko o ko kako ao kia manawa. I loko o na hanauna hiki mai ana ma hope o kako e he elua, e kolu, e lima, e hiku hanauna ma hope mai. No leila, ka ike ana I ka nani o puʻukukui, a me nā mea ōiwi I hala ole I loko leila. Ka nui o ka poʻe, ano kakai kahi ko lako ike ana no nā mea kanu, nā manu, nā iniseka, like ole, a pela aku. Ike lako a kako hoi, ka koʻikoʻi. I nā ale kako malama I keia wahi, e omomo e ohi ai ke la wai. Pau ana ko kako nohana Hawaii, ma Lāhainā ka ana pali nei. A I nā pau manei, pau pu ana ma Molokaʻi, Lanai, ka hoʻolawe, no ka mea o Maui nui, pili nā mea pau. Ua pili keia I ke aliʻi o Piʻilani. No leila, I ke la wā he Hawaii loa ka nohana o kako a pau. A ka hiki ana o kia hala ka hiki, loli ke la manaʻo. Ua pau ka nui o na kahawai, a ale kahe ka wai I loko, pau ka mea ai I loko, hele ka nui o nā kupuna hana no ka mahi hala kahiki, a leila loa ka kālā, heli ka hale kuʻai ai na mea pau. Ma mua o kēlā noho, ko kako nohona, pili loa I ka ʻaina. Nā mea pau e pono ai o ka hale oe, ka mea ai oe, nā mea inu oe, pili loa I ka ʻaina. Kēlā loli ana o ka nohona, kia ma luna o ke kālā, loli pu ka nohona o kako. Ke ia manawa ke hoʻaʻo nei kako, ʻaʻale haʻalele loa I ke kālā, ʻaʻale hiki. A ka kau like ana o nā mea ʻelua, ka nui o ka ʻai, ulu ma ka ʻaina, ʻai I ke lā, he kālo, pela aku, uala, loa pu nā mea o waho. E pono ai ka nohona o ke iau. Yeah? No leila. Ua loli loa kēlā, kia manawa ke hoʻaʻo nei kako hoʻulu hou, hoʻi I ke la nohona, nā mea ōiwi Hawaii, no ka mea he Hawaii kako.
My dream for Lāhainā is to see a better existence for our community. We do need to have a level of governance for our own people and our own community, and we never had that. Our town was never built or designed for our community or by our community. It was always built for private interests. It's evidential when we look at the most important resource for all of Hawaii, for all of the world. It's the water. Our water systems in Lāhainā were majority owned privately. Then that's just our water system. Some of the oldest businesses that were existing in Lāhainā that were mom and pop shops didn't even own their own place of retail, their own shops. They were leasing. And so everything that was generated in Lāhainā at some point was extractive. In this dream, in this vision, it's to build more of those types of capacities and capital for our own community. If we want to talk about economics, let it show a reflection of who we are. The largest agricultural systems in place right now on West Maui is a coffee farm and there's a chocolate farm. You cannot live off of chocolate and you cannot live off of coffee. So we need actual nutrient density food systems in place to sustain our community, but also just to be able to sustain and manage our own system and existence. We don't have to move out because of cost of living is so high. We will have a stronger control in the living cost and as well as the security of the economics for our own community. That would be my dream and vision of Lāhainā.
I have a lot of visions for Lāhainā. And that's the reason why I got involved as the key cultural monitors for the town. And right now, because of this devastation of fire, we're getting good opportunity to bring a lot of the old names back. And I've been trying for the past 7-8 years to try to convince the county that we need to bring the names of the streets back. Like Front Street, known as Alanui Mo'i. Prison Street was known as Papu, Fortress. Waine, the real name was Alanui Hoapili. So if we was to concentrate on Kawamamua, that the future is in the past, by bringing the values of yesterday today, then I think we can really protect the integrity of our history, the integrity of our town. Our traditional practices can come back, especially for the cultivation of those fish ponds. A lot of important, iconic moments that were done here in Lāhainā town, which made Lāhainā, once upon a time, the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii.
My vision of Lahaina is not entirely what I alone think it to be. It'll be a collective of our community. It is my hope that it'll be reflective of all era of Lahaina's history. A key point that I always impress upon people is that when you think of all of the era in Hawaii's history that are prominent, those were prominent in Lahaina.
My vision is that when we talk about the restoration of our streams, moku'ula, alamihi, all of those are the end goal. You know, a lot of that cannot happen unless we protect our water resources underground, in the streams. We use water more efficiently, and we also bring back our water resources from out of the hands of private corporations and put them back into the public, because water is a public trust. Reforesting our aina that used to be here before that helped protect our groundwater. Malu, shade, but malu also means to protect, right? And so the shade of these forests and these canopies to protect our ground from drying up from the sun that we have on the west side rebuilds our ground, our aquifers. The indicator if our moku'ula is returned and our alamihi is returned is because all these other things have been put into place. Until then, that's only one dream. All of Lahaina is important to us, right? There's not necessarily one place that's more important than the other, but we all value each place equally.